everyone. Welcome to the channel if you're new. Welcome back if you've been here. I want to discuss white mothers versus black mothers and who's equipped and who's not to raise biracial children. I'm going to focus a lot on black and white because I have a lot of experience with that, being that I'm mixed with black and white. But I am asking that if there's anyone who is half white and half Asian or half white and half Middle Eastern or something that's non-black, but you have a white mother and your dad is not white, but he's also not black, please tell me your experience in the comment section about what goes on with your non-white side and if they make a big difference about if your mother is Asian versus white or Arab versus white or however it goes. Because I've noticed a lot in the black and white communities, particularly the black community, where they almost discredit white women as being the mothers of biracial children because they blame the identity issues or any affirming that we need or don't get, that it's our mom's fault because she wasn't fully equipped to handle raising a half black or part black child. And I want to call BS on that because I have seen black women that are fully black having issues being black growing up. And I've also seen biracial people that have black mothers have the same issues that I had. And it has nothing to do with the parenting or being equipped or not. What it has to do with is where you grew up and how you feel around those people. Because for me, when I denied my blackness for that short amount of time, it was when I moved from a more diverse and black area to a very prestige, predominantly white area. There was not very many black people. There wasn't even that many Asian or anything else. It was literally all white. And I stood out. And I didn't want to stand out because when you're young, you don't really want to stand out like that. You really just want to be a child and fit in with people. Even though now as an adult, of course, I understand that that makes me unique and special and I stood out in a good way, but you don't think about that when you're a kid. So for me, there wasn't that many black people and examples of that. Even the teachers, none of them were black. So I wanted to not be black. And because I didn't really look it, no one really knew what I was. I only claimed that I was black and Hispanic because I have a Spanish last name. So that's obvious. But the rest of me, they didn't know. They didn't have to know all that. But I only did it for a short amount of time. And I want to put this argument out about the whole being equipped because I have a really good friend who is a black woman, unambiguously black. She has biracial children. You know, her husband is a white man. Her children said the exact same things or felt the same ways that I have felt as a child. They told their mom and dad, they sat down and they said, "Hey, I wish I was white like you," to the dad. And of course they had the talk and let their kids know your skin is beautiful. But now that's my question. So was that black mother, my friend, was she not equipped as a black woman with two black parents and very comfortable in her blackness? She just happened to fall in love with a white man, has children, and obviously they knew that eventually this type of situation would come up. But for a child to say that they wish that they were white like one of their parents has nothing to do with not being equipped to handle it. But what the problem is that white supremacy still exists, white beauty standards still exist, and when you are surrounded by more white people, as in school, because that's where a lot of kids spend a lot of time, or if they do extracurricular activities, sports, and they're around white people in a white neighborhood, they just want to fit in with the rest. They will stand out in a group of white people. Whereas if they're with a bunch of black people or a more diverse area with multiple different races, they don't stand out as much. They kind of fit right in. That was the difference. And I know for myself, that was the difference because when I grew up in a diverse area, from the time I was a kid, a baby, all the way to 13, I was with black, Hispanic, Asian, mixed, like there was everybody. So for me, I didn't stand out as far as my color or my race. Just the way I look, I guess, could have stood out, but it wasn't anything to do with my race. So I didn't even question being black or whatever it was. But once I got into the prestige white area where no one was even anything but white, maybe a couple of black people here and there, it made me feel a little bit inferior. And I could admit that, but it had nothing to do with my mom because my parents are still together and they have affirmed me from the moment that I was born that I'm a mixed race, beautiful girl, and I'm black and I'm white. And I'm not one or the other. I am both. and to embrace both. They also let me know the differences between being black and being white in this country, and that there are certain things that white people will never understand because they're not of color. Whereas in the black community, there's certain things that I go through that they can understand. They can understand that struggle. But there's also things that I go through that maybe they don't understand because it's not a full black experience, because I'm not fully black. So that is where the difference is with biracial. No matter if their mom is black or if their mom is white, they go through very similar experiences depending on where they grew up, some more than others. I don't notice in other communities where the mother is white and maybe the father is Arab or he's Asian or something. I don't really notice too many from the non-white side having a big issue. It would have been better if you had an Indian mom versus a white mom because you don't understand the Indian culture that well, or she's not equipped because she's not Indian. I don't really see that. Now, maybe that does happen. That's why I'm asking if any of you out there are mixed with East Asian or South Asian and white or something, and there's a difference between having an Asian mom and a white mom. Please let me know, because I think that it's really ridiculous to say that a mother is not equipped to have her children because of her skin color, if the father happens to be of a different race, especially if he happens to be black. I honestly think that it stems from something deeper than just having a white mom who doesn't understand black culture, because again, I've seen it happen the other way around, where there was a black mother and she was just as equipped. I mean, she's the ideal, right? She would know, and the biracial still had issues. So it had nothing to do with being white or black. It has everything to do with the culture environment. And your parents can affirm you all day long. You can affirm yourself all day long. Everyone can tell you how beautiful you are. But if you are around a certain situation or certain people that have a completely different outlook on life, you just feel like you stand out. And that was really my issue. Now, I can't speak for every person, but for me, it really wasn't about looks. It was more about, I just stood out being the only person that was not white or fully white. I mean, no one knew what I was, but I definitely wasn't some blonde hair and blue-eyed woman where everyone else kind of was, or they had that feature, something where they were obviously white. And me, it's like, well, I'm not sure what you are. And because I knew that I was also part black, that was something within me that I felt a little inferior. And I mean, I'm just someone that admits it. Not everybody can even admit that that's how they felt. I do feel like a lot of people have felt that way at one point in their life, whether they got over it quickly or not, or still feeling it or harboring that. But I think a lot of people, especially those of us that are black or mixed with black, have felt that way at some point, unless you were always around black people, because it's hard. White supremacy does still exist, regardless of what people might say. I've seen comments on that too. It's probably mostly white people who say that, because if it didn't exist, then we wouldn't have colorism or featureism. We still wouldn't even be having these conversations. Mixed people wouldn't have any issues because white supremacy wouldn't exist, so everybody would be fine. So obviously there is something there that needs to be talked about. And if we're going to have honest conversations about race, then we need to also talk about what the reasons are behind why people say certain things, like, oh, a black mother is way more equipped to handle a biracial child than a white mother. That's not true at all. And I can admit that I had my issues, but it had nothing to do with my mom. And I can also admit that other people that had black mothers had the same issues, and people who had two black parents had the same issues. So it has nothing to do with that. But anyway, any of you that have experienced this, whether you are black and white with a white mother, or even if you are Hispanic and white and you have a white mother, I would love to know if there is a difference in the different cultures, if it's just a black and white thing. Please let me know. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time.